Hey, here we are on part three. If you want to see what I said leading up to this, the other videos will be up on the channel. I had envisioned doing an entirely different video when I came on. I could not find the source material that I wanted to share, but I did find this one while I was looking for it because it's something he said. Well, this one here talked about another subject that I think is pretty important. So, and this is like the third video of it. If you want to know about my health issues, those videos are on the channel also. And let's get started with this video here.
Question, why is it, and I get this all the time, why is it that people stay loyal to him when they watch their entire lives get destroyed, get thrown right down the dumpster while Donald Trump is sitting stuffing his face at Mar-a-Lago? It makes absolutely no sense. It took me going to prison to wake up and to extricate myself from the cult of Donald Trump. And I'm thankful that it did happen.
Okay, now this guy here, he was a former, he's like basically had Rudy Giuliani's job before Rudy did. And then when he went to jail for breaking the law for Trump, they had to get, Howdy Rudy to be his little lawyer. And I like what he said was he goes, it took going to prison to get me out of that cult. And I want to really congratulate him. Like I've said before, I'm not a big fan of these people who, like, whether it's Ollie North or Admiral Poindexter or some of the stuff John McCain did back when he was a member of the House. I'm not a big fan of these people screwing up that bad and then coming forward. Same thing with him. This is a guy that basically worked for he was the devil's advocate. You could maybe see very good movie with Keanu Reeves. He was basically the devil's advocate, you could say. And now he wants to reinvent himself. Well, I will say he's a little different than most because he went to jail. He completely came out and told the truth. He turned over evidence. You got a lot of these people that worked for Trump. Mick Mulvaney, he's one of them. This is a guy that, he went on TV when they were talking about, blackmailing, Ukraine, holding hostage the weapons and the aid that had been promised him. He had no legal right to do it from what they were saying. And he's like, oh, yeah, we did it. It happens all the time. Get over it. And now he's got some cushy job. He's got his golden parachute. That just seems wrong. And I think there was another one. I can't remember who it was, but they basically landed and they're like the chief financial officer that, but there's a couple of them that have left Trump world, and they're just basically sliding themselves back in. We saw it after the Iran Contra affair. You had people that should have been basically living at the edge of town, nobody wanting to associate with it. Ollie North got a gig on Fox News, tells you a lot about Fox News. Then he became some kind of a big shot with the NRA. Should tell you a lot about the NRA. The Fox News and the NRA, they're basically hiring somebody that, he was convicted of a felon. He was guilty, but they had to dismiss the case. They had to let him out of jail because he had, and then this was absolutely the right thing to do. That I'm not criticizing that, but because he had given testimony, he sort of had immunity. Like he should have been able to assert his Fifth Amendment. They either didn't warn him or they didn't let him. And so it became an issue, but he clearly did what they accused him of. He clearly deserved to go to jail. But, I'm just sorry, that was just wrong. Somebody at HR should have flagged that guy. Hey, we can't hire this guy. He basically sold drugs to buy guns for, I think they were terrorists. I'm not 100% sure, but, yeah, I'm sorry, but he was part of a plot to illegally sell drugs, to buy guns to give the terrorists after Congress had said, no, you can't do that. I'm sorry, that should block you from a job at a place like Fox News. Well, if they want to be credible, that should block you from working for a charity or somebody that observes tax exempt status like the NRA. And then you had Admiral Poindexter, his little co-conspirator, his boss while he was doing that. This is a guy that was, a lot of people I don't think know this. He got hired under the Bush Jr. administration at DARPA, which is like a defense research center. and he was trying to create a futures market for predicting terrorist attacks. He wanted people to be able to trade on the possibility of a terrorist attack the same way you would trade for like orange juice or oil or something like that. It's just wrong. And this is what happens. And now what do we got? You've got uh, Rudy's trying to rehabilitate himself. He's trying to stay out of jail. He's trying to keep his law license. A lot of these other lawyers that worked for Trump, they're trying to rehabilitate themselves. Some of the people, like it was one of his, and I can't remember her name, real tall, skinny girl, fairly attractive. Um, she was one of his, she worked in his communications office. Well, I've seen her on CNN, and now that we know something, it just came out in the last week or so. Now it explains why they were trotting her out. And they also have made her a permanent host on The View. Well, some MAGA turd is apparently either owning or is in charge of running CNN. And it really sounds like they're trying to turn that into another right wing source of trash like Fox, my opinion. And so I don't know. That sort of makes everything make a little more expensive. That means they're basically gonna screw up the View if they have anything to do with that. So it's not good. That's just not good. And but he called them a cult. I think they should be called a terrorist cult organization or a cult terrorist organization. I think they need to do that ASAP. I think that is something that the president or the DOJ or the Southern Baptist, that one group that kind of looks, and then the or there's two groups, and I can't think of the name of them, but they basically deal with these anti-Semitic groups. Somebody needs to be referring to the GOP as a terrorist organization. Somebody needs to refer to them as a cult because I think that's my opinion. I think that's what needs to happen. I need smarter people that have some authority to fucking jump on the bandwagon on this. But I think we're in danger. I really do. Some of the intelligence people, they are coming out now saying, yeah, we are seeing chatter like we did before January 6th. And I just want to take a couple minutes to point out something. Okay, while Trump was in office, we had this. This was like the neo-Nazi group that was marching, I think in Charlotte, South Carolina, I think. They were the ones that had that. Vice News covered it. It was all over the news. This is the one where Trump said that there were some very fine people in this group, and these are the ones that were marching with Jews will not replace us coming out of their mouths with these torches at night. My understanding, and I'm going from memory, so cut me some slack, they were attacking people. And for all the crap that they get, I think it was Antifa, there were like religious leaders and others that said, yeah, Antifa came to our defense. These people were attacking us. We were in danger. At least we felt we were in danger. At least that's what I remember some of them saying when they were interviewed. Antifa came to their rescue. One of their little followers drove a car through a crowd and ran over a whole shitload of people. Yeah, very fine people. Yeah, very fine. And we had this current cult, this current terrorist organization. They had the White House. This is what we had walking. This is not some story. This isn't some fanciful movie of a dystopian future. This is what we had. This is absolutely had. And I don't have any pictures handy of the January 6th attack. That is what we had when this party was in control. And what are we seeing now? We are seeing them say that the IRS is going to come with AR-15s and attack you at your house. They're going to take out your small business. They are basically ginning people up. Some of the rhetoric coming out of the right, whether it's in Congress, whether it's in the media, whether it's coming from Twitter, Facebook, etc. Somebody went in with a nail gun and tried to kill FBI people. They did that after the raid on the Mar-a-Lago. And you can look at all sorts of news. You've got news that are telling you the truth, that it was a raid on somebody that fully deserved it, and then you've got the ones that are sitting there, oh, maybe the FBI planted stuff. I don't even, another one, she goes, I don't even think they're planting stuff. I think they're just making it up. And they are doing this stuff, and it's going to cause the next attack. And the question I have for everybody out there, this is Charlie Manson. If he'd have been a little more organized, if, maybe he had been willing to hold up a Catholic Bible, Christian Bible, could he have run for president? Could this guy, because we got a president right now, he has absolutely said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and not lose a vote. Could this guy run if he, if times were different, if this Republican Party existed back then, and it didn't? This is not the Republican Party of the Reagan era. Reagan could not get the nomination in this party right now. This is not the party of Dwight D. Eisenhower. This is not his party. He could not get nominated to this party. Um, he was a little more moderate than Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney is pretty far right for Eisenhower. They've kicked her out of the party. I can't think of the guy's name. He's the one who voted for Trump in the first impeachment. I believe he had a House seat in Minnesota. He's a pretty right wing guy. He's not crazy, but he was a pretty right wing guy. They kicked him out of the party. But could Charles Manson run today? I don't know. When you look at people like Matt Gaetz, when you look at people like Jim Jordan, I'm not so sure. I think of this guy, if they maybe trimmed his beard and got him to spit out a couple religious quotes every now and then, I think he could be leading the Republican Party. I think he could probably get as many votes, if not more, than Donald Trump, than DeSantis. And I'm not sure the policies would be all that much different. Could Osama Bin Laden? Is this a guy? I mean, we've got members of the Republican Party, the followers and people, they seem to like Russia just fine. They had some campaign ads about Ron Johnson talking about his trip over to Russia, and they had a host from one of the MSNBC shows saying, "Hey, look, this week Putin sounded just like Ron Johnson." You had, Ron Johnson was another one when they were talking, and this has been out in the political ads, when they were talking about shipping jobs over to China. He didn't see a problem with it because it was one of his supporters that was doing it. And he said, "We got plenty of jobs here in Wisconsin." This does not sound like somebody that should be representing your country. Forget your state, your country. This is not somebody that should be holding office anywhere in the government, federal, state, local. I don't know if you really want a dog catcher that is, trying to send jobs over to China. It just sounds like a bad idea. But could this guy? Now, the problem that he's not Christian would be the biggest problem. The fact that he's not white would be the second biggest problem. But if you look at the modern day Republican Party, this is a guy that doesn't favor women having control of their bodies. This is a guy that probably is against abortion for any reason. This is a guy that pretty much wants women to be quiet, cover up, don't show any skin. I don't know. I really don't know. I want to say no, but I think it's possible that if this guy was willing to pick up a Bible, spew some fucking shit that they know he doesn't believe, I don't know. I think he could be a contender if he was still alive. God knows he would be if it hadn't been for Obama. Maybe Biden would get him now, but Trump wouldn't have gone after this guy, I don't think. Bush, he gave up. I'm not sure he really tried, because every time they had, there was at least once or twice where they had the Taliban, they let him go. And then after a couple of years, he's like, oh, because he said, we're going to smoke him out. We're going to get this guy. We're going to smoke him out. And him and everyone else going to pay for these 2 buildings they dropped. And after a couple of years, when he's asked, he's like, yeah, I don't really think about him anymore. Yeah, bullshit, he was going to smoke him out. Bullshit, he was going to smoke him out. But I honestly have to wonder if he could actually get a nomination for president, or, maybe in Texas. He could maybe be the governor of Texas. He could roll around in, a fucking wheelchair and fucking screw everybody over. He could have his dialysis machine hooked up to it. But I think it's bad. Okay, this guy's Timothy McVeigh. If I was a betting person, I would go all in on the fact that, yeah, if this guy was, I don't know if he's dead. I think he's still, I honestly don't know. This is a guy that blew up a federal building. This is a guy that, this is why for years, if you ever watched the one X-Files movie, you had, I think it was one of the movies, they were actually investigating somebody that had bought too much fertilizer. If it wasn't, it was in one of the shows. But that's because of this guy. This guy basically used fertilizer and fuel oil and made a bomb and blew up a building. I am absolutely positive if this guy was able, he could probably run for president and get just as many votes as Trump. I'm pretty sure if this guy lived in Florida or Texas, he could probably get elected governor. At least it would be a possibility. I don't think you could say that, 8 years ago. I don't think you could say that 10, 12, 15 years ago. Nowadays, yeah. The stuff that this guy planned, the stuff this guy used to say, does not sound that different from some of the stuff you hear from the MAGA crowd. You just don't. I mean, Dan Crenshaw, I don't have a picture of him, but, you know, for as big of a piece of shit as I think that guy is, you know, he even came out and he's like, yeah, man, you can't really be attacking the FBI. I mean, he didn't go far enough, but, he at least, that was a little bridge too far for him so far. Let's see how long it takes him to cave. But I think this guy could be a contender. I think this guy could be a House candidate. I think he could be a Senate candidate. Might not win the election, but I think he could win the nomination. I think he could be on the ticket waiting to get voted in. Okay, now here we have David Koresh. He, you know, I'm not sure he could win, but I think this guy here could maybe not in every state, but in some states, I think this guy could get a nomination for the ticket. I think he could be a nominee for the ticket for president. And he had the religion. He had the religion stick down, and he might have actually been a true believer, where all the other ones, they would have been like some of these Republicans where they don't necessarily believe it. But my God, this guy could probably get the snake handlers and some of the other people to come out and vote for him. It's a little scary, but yeah, this is a guy that I honestly think could be a contender for the Republican Party. And here's the problem we have, people, and I don't really mean to be, I'm not trying to really upset anybody. I'm just trying to be honest. Okay, now this is the Edward R. Murrow FBI building. It's the Oklahoma City bombing. Uh, this is what the aftermath looked like. This is how much damage was done with one vehicle with fertilizer and fuel oil. Let that sink in. That is what that is what Timothy McVeigh did. This is 9/11. This is what Osama bin Laden's group did out in New York. And I just want that to sink in. That's 9/11. That's a picture of 9/11. That's Osama bin Laden. And I think if anybody's honest, all these people I put up, they're some of the worst. I don't think anybody who's being honest can say that I'm crazy for saying these guys could get the nominee in certain areas, maybe the whole country, for the Republican Party. I don't think I'm out of line for saying, not when you see the shit that they are floating. I don't. And here's the thing. If we don't wake up, if we do not stop these people from getting off into office, if we do not start referring to their party as a cult and as a terrorist organization, uh, this is what we're going to see. We're going to see more buildings like this. They've already sent one armed guy with a nail gun went in there and tried to shoot a place up. A whole bunch of them were standing outside another one in Arizona, I think it was, trying to intimidate them with their guns. We're going to end up seeing more stuff like this, or we're going to see more stuff like this. If we keep electing these people that either want to suck up to the terrorists or who are incompetent, we're going to see more of this. We're going to see more of these Arab countries and other people that hate us blowing up our buildings. We're going to see more of those. Or we're going to see more like this. It's one or the other. If we keep electing these people into office, if we keep letting them run their mouth on social media, and the First Amendment is not a suicide pact. It just isn't. But we're going to see more of this if we don't go to the root cause and deal with the problem. We're going to see more of these compounds, or if we don't check them, if we don't pull a Janet Reno, if we don't stop this, we're going to see more January 6th. We're going to see more Oklahoma bombings. We're going to see more 9/11. And you think I'm crazy? Look at the pandemic. There are so many people. There's at least probably 1 million people that did not have to die if our country had taken it seriously. If we didn't have, some fucking orange-faced clown in there fucking things up. There were people that did not have to die if we would have had people in there telling them, hey, grow the fuck up, wear your mask, social distance, trace, stay home when you're sick. You don't get to go to the gym. Fucking cook and eat at home. There's just some simple shit. And if we would have had people in there that were making an effort to get the vaccines out, to basically not tell people to take bleach and whatever else was fucking coming out of Trump's mouth, there's a lot of people that would still be alive. And it's the same way with all other aspects of it. When you put these people in there, when you vote them in, when you're trying to have a serious discussion about something, you got Jim Jordan, going on and on about whatever's fucking, flaring up his rectal area. It doesn't help. When you've got members of Congress that, when there's an investigation into the president for colluding with Russia or coordinating with Russia or obstruction of justice, when you've got a serious discussion on that, and you've got like the head of the intelligence community that looks like they're taking information that they're gathering in that and running it over to the criminal that's being investigated, this is a fucking problem. And this is what we got. And I don't know how to boil it down any simpler for you. If we keep voting for these people now, if we can get laws passed and we can detect this mental illness, because here's the thing. When you go back and look at Charles Manson, we didn't have it then either. We did not have something that would recognize his mental illness for what it is. And how many people paid the price for his little crime spree? We don't have that anymore now either. We don't have it then. We didn't have it then. We still don't have it. And this is the thing. If we don't find a way to lock these people up and either keep them off the streets or get them the help they need, like Charles Manson, I'm not sure he could have been fixed. I'm really not sure he could have been fixed. I think he's like a lot of these people that support the Republican now. They're going to be like that until the embalming fluid hits them. I sincerely believe that some of them might be able to be reached, but how many of them, like look at Bush, there were a lot of them that voted for Bush. They saw what he did, and then they just moved on. Oh my God. And they denounced him. They abandoned him. And then they were willing to do it all again for Trump. And that's another problem we got. But at least some of the people, like now, they're getting ready to dump Trump. One guy was posting on Twitter, hey, my mother who voted for Trump, she now thinks he needs to go to jail. And there's a lot of people out there, but are they going to do it again? And I really think we need to address this when we've got these people. There's a lot of people that are sitting in Congress right now. Some of them belong in jail and some of them belong in a mental institution. At the very least, they belong on a no-fly list. They do not belong in Congress. And this is what we got to come to grips with, people. We really got to come to grips with the future of our planet. Not just our country, but the planet may depend on whether we stop electing these people. And, if you've got their supporters that are just voting time and time after time for these guys, they're part of the problem. And if we just agree to disagree and they get to keep having their little treason fantasy, this doesn't get any better. It just does not get any better. Peace out. If you want to help out the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and maybe share this with your friends. Peace out and have a good day.